What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai 71 here, bringing you another review of the Powerpuff Girls new TV show. Before I start, I wanted to say, if you're hearing that loud noise, it's a lawnmower outside. Unfortunately, someone's mowing someone's lawn or something's going on, so it might get a little loud from outside noise, but just wanted to make you aware. Anyway, today's episode is for episode 5. The episode is entitled Painbow, and it's an interesting one. The episode has an emphasis, I guess you could say, on Buttercup, but it's a different focus on her, because it's a lighter focus for her rather than the tough and rough kind of Buttercup that we've seen in the first couple episodes. So the episode starts off with her class. With her in her class, and we get to see a character that is nice to see, who's a character that's from the original show, and that is Miss Keene, her teacher. You might remember she has the black hair, and I'll probably have an image. So that is very nice, and she's trying to teach them about grammar. And she ends up dressing up like a wizard and being like, "Oh, the Wizard of Grammar," or something like that. And the thing is that Buttercup wants to make fun of it and all that. And the thing is that Buttercup makes fun of it, and the teacher looks out the window and sees a rainbow, and the rainbow makes Miss Keene turn like a little bit. I don't want to say like she goes psychedelic. In other words, she's kind of like it's as though she's on a trip into. Let's just say she's high, I guess. I don't want to be out there, but I guess yeah. So yeah, that happens. And the thing is that she ends up like saying things like, "Oh, it's cool. Like we're like having fun here. Oh yeah, you're good at being bad, Buttercup. It's real nice, and you cause lots of trouble." And she's all like friendly and stuff, but it's weird. And eventually she's like, "You know what? All you kids out there, you can do anything you want." So, and I'm gonna stop doing that now. You can do whatever you want. And so the thing is that the kids end up being brainwashed by the rainbow as well that's outside the window. So then what happens is that they're dismissed early and everyone goes out. And the thing is that Buttercup's confused about why everyone's all happy and stuff. And at first she doesn't mind it. But then we see Blossom, who comes out. And Blossom complains because they had a geography class where they were doing dioramas. And the thing was that Blossom got an A+, and she was annoyed about that. And you may think to yourself, why would you be annoyed about an A+? Well, the problem is that everyone got an A+. In fact, one kid got an A+ for basically sneezing in a box. That's definitely does not deserve an A+. That deserves a F, probably. Yeah. So that happens. On top of that, then Buttercup comes to the realization that this isn't good when she ends up tripping this big bully kid, who his name is Barry, and he falls over. And then rather than beating up on her, he's like, "Oh, that was really funny, Buttercup. Who wants a hug?" And then she doesn't want a hug, obviously. But then and then following that, all the kids that are in the school that aren't her and aren't Blossom or whatever, at this moment, come over and tackle him and basically want to give him a hug. And then the question is, where's Bubbles? Well, Bubbles is being hugged as well from a different location, and she's like, "I can't take this many hugs," because, you know, she's more of like the loving, sweet kind of character, and so she enjoys hugs. But the thing is that there's too many people, so it gets too intense even for her, and she's like known for taking in the hugs, and she thinks everyone's going insane. On top of that, the people in the city, you know, they are crashing into cars. Police officers are letting prisoners escape. Crimes are happening. Accidents are occurring. Things aren't good. Not good at all. So, really an interesting moment. So then the girls realize something is wrong and we need to find out what's going on. Maybe we can talk to the professor. I mean, after all, we're not affected. I mean, they don't even mention that, but it is interesting to know that they're not affected, probably because of how they were made and how they're not like regular people in that regard, which would explain a lot of things. For those that are looking at it like, why are they not affected? I guess it's probably because of that. Maybe they have some... I mean, they don't like give a specific explanation, but that's probably the most logic you can get from it. So I'm going to go with that. Anyway, so that happens. Following this, the girls go to meet the professor. And he's also on a psychedelic trip. Rather than doing science, he's basically in his underwear. And he's out going around a sprinkler and just having fun. And he does not doing the science thing. And the girls try to talk to him about like, why are you not doing the signs and all that stuff, and he says like, oh, I just want to take a break, I just want to relax, have fun with Sprinkler or Sprinkler Bot or whatever, and and so the thing is that they're a little confused, and he ends up talking like a guy who's on something, and the thing is that they basically know that he's hopeless, and he ends up going around the sprinkler several times, and he looks like a dog because he's jumping around like a dog, like he's going on all fours and jumping around the sprinkler. So yeah, that is a thing. So then the girls know something must really be up if even the professor's in this situation, so they then end up going to find the source of the rainbow. Well, they travel up near this location that's like full of rainbows, and it has this panda. The panda's name is El Goroso or Elrondo or whatever it was, something like that. Allegro or something like that. And yeah, that's what it was. Allegro. I'm trying to remember what it was. Allegro. And this panda is also in that mindset, and he's like trying to make them give hugs, and there's all sorts of like, sweet animals and cute things or whatever, and like Bubbles is all happy and all that, and the panda's like, no, don't bother me, don't hurt me. And the thing is that the panda's all crazy, and he ends up then summoning some party lobsters that he has, and these lobsters end up shooting beams at Blossom and Bubbles and turning them like everyone else, and so they start hugging the panda and giving it love and treating it nicely and all that as it talks to them. And Buttercup is not affected. Buttercup then is like, wait, no, there shouldn't be this. There's too much chaos. There's too much stuff going on. This needs to stop. And the thing is that she ends up coming to this realization that, like the teacher said, you don't need to always have. It doesn't need to always be break time. It doesn't need to always be relaxation. There has to be structure. There has to be work. You can't just be away from that stuff. And so it is a thing. And so the thing is that she ends up coming to this deeper realization, and she ends up realizing that her teacher was right, that there needs to be structure, there needs to be stuff going on. Sure, it's nice to have fun, but there needs to be limits. And she comes to that realization, and she ends up beating on the party lobsters, and then ends up finding a way to beat on Allegro, and the panda ends up falling apart and turning, and then inside the panda was this small little bear that looks like a gummy bear almost, because it's very tiny, and then it ends up being sucked up into a portal, and the rainbow and everything that existed in that regard is sucked up, and it disappears. So that all happens, and then following this, everything after a little while, everything returns to normal. Buttercup goes to her grammar class, and rather than making fun of it, she acts serious. She ends up acting like, oh, what's the difference between you and I, or something like that. And the thing is the teacher's like, oh, I'm impressed and all that, but the thing is the teacher was actually talking about like, oh, using button sentences and how that works or whatever, and she wants to laugh, she wants to say something like snarky and rude, but the thing is that she ends up controlling herself until the very last part of the episode where they say, and once again, the day is saved thanks to the Powerpuff Girls, like they always do in the original show, and even now, they end up doing that, and then at the end she's like, oh, butt sentences, funny, and then she ends up joking around, and that is a thing. So overall, simple episode, not the greatest one ever. It does bring back a character that we haven't seen before, which is, well, a character that was in the original show, and a character that is new. Allegro was the new one, and Miss Keen is the old one, so that's very cool. So I know it might have been a little loud with the lawnmower outside. Unfortunately, today that is the situation, but next episode, I don't think it's going to be an issue, so please be aware of that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and also, if you have watched the episode, I would love to know what your opinions are of it, and if you haven't, look it up, or watch it, do whatever you can, because I would love to know your opinions as well, and what your opinion as a whole of the show is so far. Are you liking it? Is it okay? Is it meh? Tell me all that below. I'd love to know, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, guys, I'm Crazy Samurai 71, and goodbye.